Okay, that was silly. I just realized I hadn't even added myself to the stream. And there's Todd. And Gilly, the reason the jet flies by is because the jet flies by changing the startup from Hobbytown Modelers to my startup. Evening, Gordon. Evening, Lee. Eric's in the house. And so is Gilly. Hey, Todd.
Hi. Hello.
You sound tired.
I am.
Well, at least you didn't do what I did, which was forget to add yourself to the stream. I played the intro and then dead space.
See, if you had a producer, he'd help you because we wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, after yesterday and Monday, it's been a rough week. And Friday, it continues, but Friday's not near as bad. I won't be on the live stream because on Friday I will be doing a sleep study so I can get a new CPAP. Sorry. Yeah, so tonight we're continuing on the Volkswagen. I had somebody on the, what was it, Grumpy Modelers Group, something like that, say, respond with 1/8? Really? Yes, people, this is a 1/8 scale. It is. I'm loving this build. So let me go ahead and switch cameras.
Hi, everybody. Saying hello.
Yeah, I saw that. So this is where we left last time. I still have not glued down the mats. I'm probably not going to because I think once this is screwed down, it's actually going to hold pretty well. Plus, there's going to be screws that go here and here as well. So we'll see what happens. Lee's in and gone again. Hey, Storm.
Hi, Lee. Bye, Lee.
I still appreciate, even if somebody drops in just long enough to say hey and drops out.
Yeah. Throw a like at the stream. Ninja.
I'm confused what the 07 is now. We have two of them.
Well, Storm said 07 and then Eric said 07, so I don't know what this is. That little person
Eric's just an echo.
with an arm? The little handicap person? I don't know.
I think Eric's just an echo. He's not a real person. Oh, it's a salute.
I gotcha. I see it now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So let me put these screws away. And I
wonder if a capital 07 work better because it looks like he's saluting way over the top of his head.
Yeah. Well, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've seen Eric do a salute. Or no, it's not. He hasn't done a salute, but the salute he likes to post on Discord is not a valid salute. Because interesting thing you learn, years and years ago I learned this in basic training. There's a specific reason why the United States military salutes the way that we do. I'm dropping screws everywhere. We salute with the palm facing us. Rather, you'll see a lot of times people will salute with the palm out, to where you can see the palm. We don't do that in the States, or at least the Air Force doesn't. And what they explain to us in basic training is that's because we've never lost a war, even though we did lose. Before everybody goes, what about Vietnam? It wasn't a war; it was police action.
Okay. Gilly says old people don't get all this stuff. I get it. Yes, emoticons and emojis. I'm getting to the point where, SMH. You got to learn these things. There you go.
Yeah.
That looks a little better, but that one's still a little high.
Yeah. Okay, so left off last week working on the bench here. And the part I just unwrapped is this part of the bench. This part, I'm hoping something is going to grab it because the plastic is sticking out a little bit. I don't think anything will, but we'll see. And so
that looks like every other chair that's put together like that, that's just going to stay out. So unless you seal that down, it's going to bow like that.
I will probably, if it's...
That looks a little better, doesn't it?
That looks good, actually.
Or like a capital.
Oh, you know what? That's why the 07, I never caught it. Because it's this 07, if it's the person is facing me, the 07 is saluting with the left hand.
Which you don't do.
Right. Well, my flight chief in basic training, they threatened to get him a brick to carry in his left hand. Because he saluted with his left hand. It depended on which side you were approaching from. If you were on his left, he'd salute with his left. But yeah, I think what I may do is, if this continues to stick out, I will just drop some super glue in there to hold it down. So there are 5 posts on here, 5 screw holes and sockets on here on the bench bottom. And actually, it may hold down better than I expect because it's got to fit past the legs. I have strategically placed my camera or my mat, and my camera is aimed so that I will hopefully stay in frame.
Yeah, I put a little piece of tape on my big mat so I can tell where the center of the camera is.
That wouldn't help with me. I can't tell. This would probably help. Turn on that center one. Yeah, that is on there. And you're right, Todd. It looks like it's going to stay out, but we'll fix that with super glue. This is a little bit fiddlier than you would think. I like that word. It's a part work word.
That's true. I've actually put that into some of my articles because there is just no other word that really works for fiddly.
Yeah. Okay, it says put them together. I'm looking for what the screws are. They are the BPO force. Okay. Yeah, it's a good word. First time I ever heard it was from Wayne, from World of Wayne.
Yes. You know, then I realized that the vents on either side of the smokestacks, the funnels on the Titanic, are called fiddlies.
Are they?
Yep. Those grates that allow that let the oxygen down into the engine rooms. Storm says, imagine learning about different headlight taillight modes on the Sherman after the headlights are glued down. Uh-oh.
That's what I was laughing at. It's like, I understand. I feel your pain. I tend to like to light all my models. And so I'm like, you know, things like that happen. And you're like, yeah, I meant it that way.
When I get back to doing the Enterprise, I have to add more lighting to the upper rim, which means I got to pull those panels off. So I'm not excited.
I'm excited to watch you doing the Enterprise, Todd.
Eventually. Now they're talking April, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's better than it used to be, which was never.
Yeah, everybody's upset that they moved it from January to April. And I said, well, if Animal hadn't come along, it'd still be never. So at least you have hope again.
So I just peeled this lip out of here. And just looking. Actually, let me look at it from, Stuck with service mode only, no blackout mode. Enterprise must crash. So looking at this, I don't know. Because that's what you're going to see of it. And I don't think it's actually worth trying to glue it down.
Yeah, I'd be more worried about the front of the seat than the back.
Yeah.
The only person that's going to be looking inside that closely is you.
That's right. So on here, we have 3 more posts, 3 more sockets, a pin that goes up, pin from this leg that goes up into the back here. And so this will go on here like that. And that will use BPO3s. Ones I tried, I actually did drop one of them. I'll have to go, I'll be looking for a part later on and that thing will dig into my knee. And I apologize to anybody like Gilly who was waiting on Monday. Gilly was sending messages on Discord going, Buck, it's 5 o'clock. It's after 5. It's 5:15. And I'm like, Gilly, I'm not streaming tonight. Even though I had said that earlier in the day.
Well, some people scroll the new messages, don't read everything. It happens.
Yeah. Well, it's one of them things with the procedure I had done yesterday. I didn't want to be trying to stream while I might have to go take care of a call of nature. I was very happy to hear from the doc that everything is perfect. What was even better is when they took my blood pressure yesterday. It was 128/76.
It's not bad.
And I looked at the med. I looked at the med tech, and you're right. Gilly said he didn't see the post. I looked at the med tech and I said, "Not bad for a fat 57-year-old, huh?" It says carefully identify and store screws. I've never seen that in the part work before, where it tells you that you're going to need them later.
I've seen where they supply it and then don't tell you. Well, sometimes they'll say keep the unused screws for later, but
I think they may have said that in the Millennium Falcon. And I'm just looking if I can just real quick identify that screw here on the floor. There it is. It's just up far enough where it's inconvenient for me to bend down to get it, but close enough that I can grab it with my foot. Yeah, on the Millennium Falcon, they told you that a lot. And as I was looking through on the, as I was looking through the instructions last week after I got off, I looked at this and I was like, really? This actually goes in there a little bit different than I expected. This is the back that goes over the wheel wells and will go behind the back seat. It'll attach right here like that. And that's actually a pretty steep angle from what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a little bit further down. And there were, what are these? These are BPO6s, which is a new screw, which means get out the label maker. For the longest time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to get one of these things, and I love it. Love having it around. And I got the tape in my mouth right now. I've actually been thinking, Todd.
don't do that.
I know, scary thought. I am going to actually start trying to reduce the number of builds I have going on.
Yeah?
Yep.
If you would stop starting something, not finishing it, and putting it aside, you wouldn't have so many going on.
Well, yeah, there is that. And I've actually stopped doing that. It's just that I have so many of them that getting them done is going to be a bear.
Well, maybe do 2 or 3 at a time. That's it.
Yeah. Well, like right now, I've got 5 that I'm currently actively working on. I've got, if you want to count the part works, because I got the van, the VW van, I got the bus, working back on the 18th century longboat, working on the tram dial all the time, and I'm working on the 1/8 or 1/16 scale VW.
That's too many?
It is too many, especially because I'm thinking about, well, my wife thought about, and she didn't pull the trigger on it. She pulled the trigger on a different wooden model, which I think is awesome. She bought the Dennis bus for me from Oakry, which is the same scale as the tram. So I may find a way to put that into the dial. She almost bought me the Oakry Amerigo Vespucci, but she decided $450 was a little bit much. But I have been watching the builds on that because that is a newer model, and I'm like, I need to build a full-on wooden ship. I need to finish my Pearl, but I need to build a full-on wooden ship from start to finish, and that might be one of them. Okay, so back to this. I dry fit this last week, and it just pops on the way I said last week. Just that with the seat in place, it's now a little bit tighter fit. Goes on there like that, and it tilts forward and back. And literally, this was so that when you open the doors, you'd be able to get past this seat to get into the back seat. And even though it came with the part, that's all that is done in this stage. And this, you mentioned this on your Mura, I think it is, where you get parts, you look at the parts, you put the parts away until the next stage because you're working on other parts. And that's where we're at on this build. Because now I've got the bench, let me see, that's the backrest for the rear seat. No screws in this pack. I find that odd. So I've got the backrest for the back seat, but instead of working on that, it's got me putting this on, and then this will go on. So the seats will connect, and I'm setting them in the holes all the time. You can see the holes. There's the lugs. There's a total of 8 of them. And so this will go on here like that. We'll see if it will stay. Pardon?
No, Gilly says he's got 13 going. Well, when they bring the Enterprise Eleanor and Ecto 1 back, I'll have like 9, I think. Ugh. That's not counting the models. That's just part works.
It's good for you. So I need 8 the BPO3s. There's 5, 7, 8. And what they meant by save them is to keep them closed. You see it right there. I have still plenty of the BPO3s after taking these 8.
On Friday, I have to do a bunch of painting because I got a bunch of the second engine parts. So now I get to try to paint them to make them match the first engine.
On Friday, unfortunately, I won't be there because I will be over at the sleep center starting at 8 o'clock. Am I going to bed at 8 o'clock? No way in hell. But they have to hook up about 4,000 electrodes to my skull. so that they can tell what I'm doing, what my brain is doing at any point in time during the night. I don't know if you've ever had a sleep study. It's an interesting experience. After they attach all these electrodes to your head, they say, okay, go to sleep.
Yeah.
And you're like, uh-huh.
I had an EKG once, or ECG? No, EKG, the brain one. I had that done once. They woke me up in the morning, took me down to the room, and then say, okay, go back to sleep. Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah. Well, see, it's funny because the first time I had a sleep study done, which was 15 years ago, that was actually the last time I had a sleep study done too. They were like, yeah, you need a CPAP. You need one really bad. Hang on a second. I need to chase a dog who's chewing on himself.
All right. Let's see. Storm says, I'd be overwhelmed. I start one to finish one. I had two going at once, and I petered out during the detailing stage. I can understand that too. Like, do one at a time. The nice thing about the part works is they come in, different times of the month, and they're fairly short for each section, so it makes it a little easier. Gilly said he had sleepovers.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I used to do that too, and would get overwhelmed. And then I got into this thing of having so many going because something would irritate me. And I ended up with way too many going. So I'm trying to get back down to where I'm actively working on everything that I've got in work. Plus, I'm going to try and figure out, because I've got enough bench space. I need to actually set one bench up that it is strictly going to be the streaming bench, and then do all the other work on the other benches. Because like the Pearl, the biggest thing about the Pearl is it's a pain in the butt to get it down so I can work on it. And then when Monday or Wednesday comes along, I got to put it back up because it's in the way.
Isn't the bus like that since it's so big?
It is, but the bus isn't bad because I do have a space behind me that I can set the bus. That's the thing, is I need to find a space that is away from everything. I need to set up a space for streaming rather than having a space for everything going on in the same space, where I do the modeling.
Eric says he can't wait to start the Pearl. I have a dedicated spot for it. How many models are you working on at the same time, Eric?
74. His entire stash is in work.
It's all in progress?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. So that seat's in now. 2. That's what he says. I've dedicated space for the Pearl too. Right there. Oh, wrong light. The Pearl lives right there. I just need to get it down. I need to get resistors on it because it's really ready to plank on the bottom here. Let me bring that back down to where it's not aimed at the light. 67 GTX. What happened to the what was it? Silver Bullet from Greece. You were working on that one too at one point.
And the Eleanor.
And Eleanor. And R2D2 is sitting in the corner all lonely and sad because he's never getting any more parts.
Well, what about his miniatures? His Colossus?
That too. He hasn't done minis in a long time. I think he's given up on minis because I won't do any.
He needs a mini buddy.
Yeah, he has one in Donnie. There's a little bit, like you can see where they took it off the sprue. It's actually blocking it a little bit from going down. You know, and my mind runs on even while I'm not talking. And I was just thinking.
There you are, doing that again.
I know, bad habit. But on our Discord, Dominic 2005.
Yeah.
I love the way he's working on his boat because that thing looks fantastic.
Yeah.
The launch. You know what? That's got to come out of there. So there's number 3.
That's right.
By the way, Todd. Now we can also point out to Eric that he's got a number 4 that he has stopped working on.
Oh yeah,
his garage dial.
He had a garage dial? I don't think I ever saw that.
He started doing a garage dial, and the big rig he did a year or so ago and the Greased Lightning car were supposed to go in that. It actually, the dial is actually sitting on top of his, on top of Thumper's cage. Yeah, but see, Eric, even though they're on hold, you're focusing on some, you still have them in work. That's why I can say I have 18 or 19. I haven't counted lately. Actually, no, it's 17 or 18 because the Enterprises, it's in work, but it will never be finished by me.
Well, then that doesn't count. That's no longer an in-progress build then.
Right. That's why I no longer have 18 or 19. It's now down to 17 or 18. Yay! I finished a model. Wait, no, didn't finish. Just not gonna. Yeah, that goes down a lot better. Had I glued that down, that would have been a pain in the behind to get these screws in. And if I decide to go back and glue this down, I will actually pull the, I'll cut the bumps on the bottom. I'm going to say nipples because a bunch of people, and that'll make a lot of people laugh out there in YouTube world. But the nipples on the bottom of this that go through here, if they don't go in correctly, you end up with bumps on the rubber pad.
You can say pins.
I can say what?
You can say pins.
Yeah. Well, I want Eric to laugh, which he just did when I said that.
Because you said nipples?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know Eric.
I do know Eric. I've heard of him.
Many people have. Not many people will claim to know him. So we have here the rest of the backs of the rear seat. Got this in the last pack. You just make sure. Oh, good. I'm really doing something with it. Got this in the last pack. This will go on here like that. Before that, this arm or this rod grab handle for the back will go on before that. I think this in the actual car, the this seat, I believe, folded down. And more BPO3s. Yeah, hold on to those 8 screws because we'll never give you any more again. Or we'll give you plenty more.
Well, it's like Donnie, you know, about him and getting those weird nuts on his R2D2. I told him I would send him all my spare parts. That is one build that, you know, that's why I created a hardware list and measured all the screws, because they just say, oh, you get 5 of these screws and 6 of these screws and 2 of these screws. And they're just like, you can't tell what they are. They're not labeled.
Not sure if I have mine still lying around here somewhere. I think I do because it came with a screw box. And it was one of these things of, what was it? The screw box had like, I think 16 compartments plus the spot for the screwdriver.
Yeah, but there's like 45 different kinds of screws. So
exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say.
That screw box is worthless. And then the one that came with the Enterprise, I don't know what you're supposed to put in that, but it also didn't have enough spots for screws, and they're way too big. So,
yep. Well, that's why this one's actually been pretty good so far. I expect by, let's see, this is issue 31. I expect by issue 50, I'll be over here on the screws. So on here, on the back panel, you've got the holes for the screw, for the posts for the screws, plus there's a pinhole which matches up with the pins on here. I guess it's so that it doesn't shift back and forth once it's on there. That just pops on there like that. And come on, focus. And you can see it's down, the lugs are in there where I can get to them easily using, just double check, BPO3 screws. Imagine that. Nice. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. There's a slight sway in that bar. And the same over here. Some fat guy got in the back seat and grabbed a hold of that bar. The screws are actually feel like they're almost too big. Come on, play nice. Try it this way. The screw is like, you're almost out of camera, man.
Nah.
That is one thing I like about this, that some of the other builds, something like this would be super glued on. But because they have somewhere to hide the screws, they're doing screws.
Well, the flip side of that goes with, do you really need, 700 screws in the entire bus? Those could have been push pin into a hole and done.
That's true.
I mean, I have a listing on My Part Works where I track how many parts and how many screws each build has. And when you look at like the DeLorean, like the completed model of the DeLorean, you're like, oh, that looks pretty good. And then you realize it has 1,200 screws buried in it somewhere. You're like, what?
1,200 screws, 53 parts.
The DB5 has 261 parts and 261 screws.
That's kind of unique.
Yeah. I don't know if that was on purpose, a coincidence.
There is no such thing as coincidence. Ask Jethro Gibbs. You know who that? You do get the reference, right?
I do. The Gibbs slap. I am
Yep.
that old.
You don't have to be old for that. And so this back will just, like you said, push in and crack a lot while it's going in. But that's a good sound. And so goes on there like that. You can see the screw holes for where it's going to attach to the seat. This is rather odd. Odd to me, maybe not odd to them.
I wonder if Dave is here.
Didn't see him earlier. That's interesting. Oh, okay. They skip a page. I'm sitting there going, that's interesting. I didn't see the instructions on the next page. It's because they skipped a page. And there's even a note that says, we skipped a page. So right here, you've got, oops, backwards. I'm just going to set them in there. They're hopefully interesting. Where is that one going to go? Sorry, talking to myself here. Because I've got two with two legs on it. Oh, I know why. Okay, never mind. And one with just a single spot post on the bottom. And it should go back here. You know, those are just going to go back in the box because, imagine that. Guess what screws these are, Todd?
BP.
BP what?
Oh, I wasn't listening. 06.
3.
I was twice as many.
Yep, the most prolific screw so far in this build. But this here, and I will bring over I'll get the other one from across the room, the smaller one. This is actually a pretty interesting little contraption here. Because you know it's a rear engine air-cooled car vehicle. So there is no way for the traditional heat does not exist in this car. And it was funny because as I was building the 1/16 one, I kept looking at these exhaust pipes. I'm like, where the heck are these exhaust pipes coming from? Because the engine's in the rear. The exhaust pipes run to the front. And they're not actually exhaust. They take hot air off the engine to heat the vehicle, heat inside where the people are.
Well, I mean, I get that part, but all right.
Well, that's what this is, and you can't see it because it's maybe you can't. Okay, you can see. I might do something for those vents so you can actually see them. Because that's going to go in here like that. And that's why this one only has one peg. That's going to go in there like that, and that's the heat for the rear of the vehicle. Let me go over here and grab the chassis from the other one and not do what I did last week, which was rip the front seat out. I was thinking it folded like this one. So on here, these exhaust pipes, I was like, the hell is that? Why is there an exhaust pipe there? It's because it comes off the engine. Hey, Mark, welcome. Comes off the engine and goes into here, which is, let me see if I can actually
Now, does
show
that
it.
is it running hot water or is it literally just hot gas?
It's just hot air
Okay,
because there is no water in the engine.
that's true. It is air cooled.
But you can see the same thing right there underneath the rear seat.
And that's
So
supposed to heat the whole car?
That heats the back of the car. I didn't see it, and they didn't have any paint call-outs on this one up here, and I'm not going to even try to get underneath the steering, because it works. I'm not going to try and get under the steering, but there's another one up here in the front.
What is that little silver thing? Is that the steering box?
This?
Yeah.
Not sure. They said it was painted silver.
Mm.
Probably more likely to be like a windshield washer pump.
Wasn't that where the steering wheel goes down to the floor, right? It had like almost a vertical steering wheel.
You're right. You're probably right. That's probably the steering box.
Well, it's off
just
camera.
look.
We can't see what you're pointing at.
So right there's a dimple in the floor right in front of my finger.
Yeah.
And that is almost exactly opposite of that.
Yeah, it's got to be the steering box. And Mark says, yes, it was air cooled.
Yep.
No water.
So this will eventually end up here. And no kibitzing, Mark. You're ahead of me on this.
Mark's been going crazy. He's putting out videos like every day.
I know. I would like to.
I was that far on the Titanic. I'm way behind.
So that is it for tonight. I mean, I love the way this is going together, and I would work on this more, except I think I'm down to 1, maybe 2 shipments left before I'm completely out of stuff. Which means in about 3 weeks, I should start working on the Iron Man again.
That's okay. I hope you have a lot of places to put all those parts.
So let me kill that one light.
Looking good. Nice show, Buck.
Thanks, Gilly. Gilly's been pretty prolific on the videos too.
Yeah.
So like I said, that's it for tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. She's coming along slowly but surely. I mean, actually, I'm catching up with where I'm at on the Revell one. So let me do my normal outro. Like and subscribe. Come on over to Hobby Time Modelers on Facebook and YouTube. Like it or follow us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube. Join us on Facebook. We're closing in on 500, I think. We didn't pass 500 yet.
All those people that subscribe to our Facebook should be subscribed to our YouTube.
Yes. It would be cool, but, I'm the same way. I've got a lot of things that I watch on YouTube that right now I'm actually happy. I'm almost down to 3 months behind on my YouTube videos. So like I was saying, like and subscribe, come on over and join us. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Take care of each other. Have a great day tomorrow. Have a great evening tonight. And wish I could say I'll see you Friday, but I'll see you Sunday.